Alright, rockers. Turbo back with you here inside the asylum, and I'm very honored to have my next guest on the phone with me because, well, I heard samples of what they were going to be releasing, and I liked what I heard, and the album is just as good. Last in Line's album, Heavy Crown, available wherever you buy your music now, and joining me right now by phone, their frontman, Andrew Freeman. How are you, dude?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me here inside the asylum. And first, I have to start off. I know it's been a month, but when you lose someone, time never really fully heals all wounds. And I want to give my condolences to you and the family of Jimmy Bain and the rest of the guys on Jimmy's passing.
Well, thanks, man, and thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, thank you very much. It's definitely been difficult and interesting couple of months, that's for sure.
It has. I mean, you guys really, kind of have a full up and down, and in a way back up again story, because there was so much hype going into the release of the album, and everyone was greatly anticipating the tour dates and the album, and everyone was really, really hyped for the Def Leppard cruise. And then unfortunately the news came that Jimmy had passed while on the cruise, and now the album's out to rave reviews. How is it been for you? You're you're not new to the music industry, but for the way this was set up and the way this band was going, it's just a lot of up and down for a brand new band.
Yeah, we've definitely had our share of experiences, that's for sure. With Viv getting sick and dealing with his cancer fight, and now this current thing with Jimmy. So it's just, I guess it builds your character. It's all character building stuff. We dealing with Jim is kind of the current thing. Vivian with his illness. He's he kind of takes it in stride now. It's almost like when we get together, it's not even a thing anymore. He's doing really well. He's a resilient individual, and just this latest thing with Jimmy has it's testing our resolve for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are definitely stronger in many ways than so many other bands out there. I know there are bands out there that would have kind of taken this and went, well, let's put the album on the shelf for a while. Let's get through this. But that wasn't even in the cards for you guys. You guys from the get-go just said, you know what, it's ready, let's get it out there. And was there a point where you guys maybe sat there and said, well, maybe we should hold it just a little bit, or was it just, no, it's gotta go out?
The only thing that we were holding back on is we had a little conflict with Def Leppard's album release, and we wanted to be able to be, available and free to be able to support the record when it came out. So that was the only thing that really we thought about holding back, because playing the music with these guys is effortless, and it's easy, and that's the one thing that doesn't really cause I guess you would say a hardship, or is not a difficult thing to do. The hardest thing to do with these guys is getting everybody in a room at the same time. So,
right, yeah, you guys are all on crazy schedules. Vivian with Def Leppard, and Vinny with whatever he is doing at the time.
Yeah.
So I can
You
only
know, it's
imagine.
funny because to me, it's a lot like when you're coming. This experience is a lot like when you're coming up in music, and you know, you have your day job, and then you have your band. That you know, you work your day job, and you just anticipate, you know, getting to rehearsal that night and playing with your buddies, and you know, it was a lot like that experience, you know, coming up because it was you always had something to look forward to. Like, okay, we have a little break here where we can get together for 4 days and work on some songs. And then we would just everybody went in prepared and we attacked it. There was because everybody was on point and we were all on the same page. So it definitely was a labor of love, you know. So there was never really a point where we were like, nah, let's hold this back. It was just mostly because of, you know, Def Leppard's touring schedule and their album release as well. So we held the record for a good year before we released it because we wanted to give it the support that it deserved, you know.
Right, of course, yeah. I mean, you guys don't want to have any conflict of interest. There are so many bands out there now. You know, it's kind of a way the industry is, in that you kind of have to put your hand in different bands in order to keep making the music because the industry has changed over the years, and I've seen so many artists kind of double dipping, and they've got an album coming out with one band and the other album coming out with another band, and they're not really sure which one to support, and everyone gets confused.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. You know, you have to kind of have your hands in a lot of different things in order to make ends meet these days. But you know, I kind of like that. I kind of like, you know, the fact that you can get a record with, you know, a combination of guys that you thought you never heard before, like the KXM record, you know, with Lynch and Doug Pinnick and Hornstrom there. I can't remember his name. You know, it definitely makes music interesting, but you know, it's not like back in the day where, you know, a record would come out and then people go on like a 2-year tour. You know, they're on the road for 2 years supporting it. So, and I think that, you know, has a lot to do with the age of the internet too. You people just, their attention span is very short. So you get something and it's going to be there for a month and then you're on to the next thing, you know, or even a couple days, you know, and you're on to the next thing. So there's so much out there. It's hard to stay focused on one thing. So it's got to be great if you're staying focused on it for more than a couple days. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I'm old school. I'm very much the type of person that's going to sit down, listen to an album in its entirety. You know, I'm not one for the, oh, I'll Spotify it, and then a week later, oh, what was it again? Yeah, I'm not. I'm of the old school, and some people, you know, I'm 36, and there are some people I hang out with, and they look at me and they're like, well, why are you buying the album? And I'm like, I want to listen to it again, you know, maybe a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, you know.
Right.
The whole streaming thing, it could be there 1 minute and gone the next.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of I'm the same ilk. You know, I like having a physical CD in my hands, or, you know, being able to read the liner notes. I think when the whole MP3 thing kind of hit back in the, you know, a few years back, it was you know, kind of a novelty. You're like, oh, I can get this song and I can get that song, and now, you know, I don't mind paying for my music. You know, I like, you know, it shouldn't be something that's an option. You know, you should you know, if you like something, it's nice to be able to support it because that's what keeps it going. You know, so but I'm with you. You know, I like having a CD, and I like to be, you know, confined to something on a road trip. Like, this is the only thing I have. So I'm going to put this in and listen to it. And I'm going to, if I don't really like it, you know, I better like it, or I'm going to be listening to silence, you know.
Exactly. I mean, thank God for an iPhone. I live off of my iPhone, so if I go out, if it's not on my iPhone, I'm like, oh crap, why did I forget to put that on my iPhone? You know.
Yeah.
So I know the feeling.
Yeah, it's a whole other panic attack now, right?
Exactly. Now it's like, wait, I know I have it, but why isn't it on my phone? You know, it's a whole other.
Exactly.
Right.
I need a bigger phone. I need a bigger phone with more room.
Exactly. And I have the biggest memory.
That's funny.
I have the biggest memory, and I still forget to put stuff on my iPhone. I go out and go to look for an album, and you'll be like, wait a minute, didn't I just get that? Didn't I just put that in? Oh man, but talking about the album, one of the things I love that you guys did with the album is you really nailed it in regards to the bonus disc and the deluxe version, because rather than put out an album where the deluxe version was an added track at the end of the album that anybody could download randomly, the bonus track is actually right in the middle of the album. That's definitely something different than what bands have done before. Is that something you guys planned to do, or it just kind of happened?
I think it just kind of happened that way. We had at one point we recorded too many songs for the album, and we didn't have enough songs for the album, and then we recorded too many, and were we putting them all on? Were we not putting them all on? All that, and so that's kind of where we were at as far as it was kind of a wild ride, honestly. Trying to figure out what songs were going on and what songs weren't going on, and so it's hard to say. Putting it in the middle of the record, I don't know. It just kind of the cards kind of fell. As far as there's. We didn't go into this with a plan. There was really no plan. So it just kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, I dug that. I mean, there are so many times where I'll buy an album, find out about the deluxe version after, and I'll just jump on iTunes and buy the extra track because it was usually added on at the end, so it wasn't really a big deal. So I was relieved when I heard about the bonus version before the release, because you guys put it right in the middle, and I'm like, oh man, I'm glad I bought it, because otherwise it would have been all out of order, and you get nitpicky about that stuff as a fan.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, man. I'm glad we're throwing some surprises out there, and we definitely are trying to keep everybody happy and keep ourselves happy in the process. We want people to have the old school album feeling, where they it's like a long player. The album has a vibe. We did go through the order of the songs, but the bonus track, I don't remember really thinking about that, because I didn't really know what the bonus track was, honestly. It was just like we just gave them all the songs and we put it together. So
that works, man. Now, when you guys first sat down, I mean, first of all, I'm sure when you got the call to work with Jimmy Bain and Vivian Campbell and Vinny Appice, that you kind of had that moment of, wait, am I really going to work with these guys on an album?
Yeah, there was a moment of that for sure, but I had, it was before, before this, because Vinny and I had played in Lynch Mob together,
right,
about, back in 2005. So yeah, I had that moment with Vinny where I was like, oh my God, that's Vinny Appice, but then you get in the room and that's got to go away fast, because everybody's a normal guy in this band, and nobody's really got that whole rock star attitude. So you just kind of everybody's normal, so you kind of got to get normal quick, in order to get to move forward with what you're doing. So,
right.
So yeah, but there was an element of that, because I already knew Jimmy and Vinny, and I knew Claude too when we first started it, and the only person I didn't know was Vivian, and Vinny and I had conversations about, if him and Vivian were still in touch, that they had talked, but that was back in like 2005, 2006, and I, it was always in the back of my head back then, like, oh, what if this happened, but it just never seemed like it was gonna. So when I got the email to, the call to go down and jam with them, it was like, wow, this is really happening. But walked in the room, met Vivian, shook hands, was like, cool. They added to the list of some other great guitar player that I had played with, and I honestly didn't expect it to go any further than what it was, than just getting together to jam, So.
But that shows in the album because, yeah, as you listen to Heavy Crown, for those of you tuning in late, I've gotten into Freeman of Last in Line by the phone. When you listen to Heavy Crown, it comes across that way. It doesn't come across as, alright, here we gotta write an album, we know what our names are, we've gotta do something people would expect of us. It doesn't sound that way. It sounds just like you said, that you guys got together, you started jamming, and then one thing led to another, and it was like, hey, we have an album.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like I said, it was a very organic process. It was very easy to do. I mean, it's just kind of the same formula. You got two guys from the UK and two guys from New York. Who kind of they're the core of the band, and we really they wanted to just kind of write the record the same way that they did. The same way they approached the first three Dio records, where they just kind of got in a room and started jamming, and then Ronnie would come in and they would arrange stuff, together, and he would write his lyrics over the top of that, and that's basically what happened. There was times where they would, I wouldn't even be there for the first day of rehearsals, and there was a time like when we wrote Orange Glow, Jimmy wasn't there, Jimmy couldn't make it, so I ended up playing bass, and the three of us wrote it, together, and then we all honed it when Jimmy got there, So again, the chemistry was great, and it was just really easy to do that. The songs just kind of came like flowing water. There was not much stuff that we didn't use. So
right, it also helps that you guys are all well versed musicians. It's not like you guys are stuck in whatever it is you play. So that you guys are able not only to maybe fill in when someone's running late or not able to make it a certain day, but you're also able to understand each other and give each other input towards the songwriting process.
Yeah, I mean, the process is just easy. There's no other way to describe it than it just being easy and for me, amazing. And I think it was amazing for everybody. Everybody really just locked in. They had a chemistry already, and luckily, they liked me and what I did, and we locked it in.
Absolutely, and you guys definitely nailed it on every track.
Thank you, man.
On Heavy Crown, you're very welcome. I've got to ask, was there at any point in the process a discussion of maybe doing one Dio song on the album, one tribute song? Did that ever come up in...
like a remake of one of the songs?
Yeah, like a remake of a Dio song with obviously with you taking over the vocals. Was that idea ever discussed for the album, or was it just, let's just do all new material and not focus on anything from the past?
No, there was never. We never really talked about doing a cover of anything. It was just, maybe a cover of a Thin Lizzy song.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, but not. We had. We get enough of doing. I mean, to them, it's not really a covers. They're. Those songs are done. They did it, and we did a video interview with Jimmy once, and he, was talking about, the past is done. Let's do something new, and that's just kind of been the attitude of everybody. Everything's fresh. It's always, we always want to move forward. And I think that spirit of that is still alive. We've been sitting on this record for a year, so I think we're chomping on the bit to write some new stuff, and so we've been we've been living with these songs for a year and a half now, and and we've been a band for 4 years, so time's flying, and we're just not the types that just rest on our laurels, I know those guys definitely aren't. They're always working,
Right.
Vinny has 9 projects. Vinny's got 9 projects going at a time. It's nice to see that. It's very creative. It's always a creative atmosphere. Even when we're just in tour rehearsal, or a show rehearsal, ideas come out of just endings of other songs that already exist, or or somebody's just warming up and they just start jamming an idea and it turns into a writing session for half of it. So
Nice. I mean, that's really sometimes the best way to get things. It just comes out of
absolutely.
working. And you're right about Vinny. I often wonder if Vinny and Mike Portnoy are trying to outdo each other with side projects, with how busy they both get during the year.
Yeah, that's so true. That's funny.
So
Yeah, I think Vinny's got a side project on the same label that we didn't even know about until it came out. It's kind of funny.
oh, and that's just one of those things where you sit there and you go, really, you couldn't tell us that? Yeah, you had something going.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah,
So,
it's true.
it is, man, it is. But
And a lot of times you don't know. A lot of times you just get called to do sessions. You do the sessions, and then the next thing you know, you get an email. Oh, it's out this week. Like, what are you talking about? It's out. What's out? It's a band. I thought it was just some session. That wasn't going to evolve into anything except like a track on somebody's record.
right, exactly. If all you knew it was, while you were just sitting in on a session, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's a full album. Did you hear it yet? Like, what? What album?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the album
Funny.
Heavy Crown is out, been out for about 2 weeks now, if memory serves me right. And I mean, the reviews have just been amazingly great, and everyone's really, really loving it. Are you guys hoping for and expecting?
I mean, I don't really know what we were hoping for. I know that we wouldn't have done it if there wasn't. I mean, I don't know if we would have done it if there wasn't like I'm going to say a market for it. But if people didn't want it, if they were not receptive to, the first, series of shows we did, doing, the nostalgia songs, doing their back catalog, I don't think we would have moved forward if it wasn't well received. Just everything we've done has been so well received that we're like, well, let's give it a shot. There's no agenda. We were hoping that people would like it, and we certainly knew there would be an interest as far as people wanting to hear these guys play together again. The only question I think in my mind was that I'm the odd man out. So either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. You're gonna if you're expecting to hear Ronnie Dio, you're probably not going to get that. But there's elements of the original Dio band that's happening here. So. The way it's been received, that we're actually charting right now around the world, and the response that we're getting from social media, it's pretty amazing, and it's definitely exceeded our expectations. And our manager, Steve, who he doesn't really have to deal with us. You know what I mean? He's got other things, and that's kind of the consensus of this band is nobody really has to deal with this band. This band is more a labor of love for everybody, management included. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody's really, there's no money out there to grab. It's a labor of love on everybody's, for everybody, management included. And our manager has said, this has exceeded my expectations. So, I'm happy that everybody's happy because, for me, it's definitely fulfilling, and I have work, so I keep, I work, pretty steady, and so for this to kind of take off, it's really nice. It's effing cool, as they say.
Yeah.
And I'm glad people, I'm glad there's a lot of very passionate fans, and they're really accepted, me as the front man of this, and I want to do their legacy justice, but I also want to, bring this into the next, into the next level as well, and people enjoy it and not just go, dread listening to the vocals because they just want to hear Viv shred or Jimmy's signature bass lines or Vinny, the pounding beats that Vinny does, it's, I want it to be, received as a band, and people,
it's
genuinely dig it.
Your vocals, I mean, when I sat down to listen to it, I didn't sit there and go, okay, let's see who the singer is, let's see if he fits. I went into it as I'm assuming many fans went into it, going, all right, let's see what this is as a band. And I mean, as a band, I see no reason
Right.
for anyone to sit there and say, well, it's the old Dio guys and some new guy. You guys are a cohesive band, and your singing style, the world knows it now, if they didn't already know it, because it's unique. You have your own
Right.
sound, and it just fits in perfectly, and it does give you the world notice that I think you are long overdue for, based on the years you put in the music industry, and it gives the band a definitive identity. And what I personally think, you guys will have a long run, and that of course leads me to the next question. I know everyone's wondering, what is the future right now for Last in Line? Jimmy is obviously a very hard member to replace, and you never really want to replace anyone, but what is the future right now for Last in Line?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, first off, thanks for all that, man. That's really nice of you to say, and I do appreciate all the the accolades to to my presence in this very classic band. As far as moving forward, we have some shows, and we're going to fulfill our commitments. We have Frontiers Festival in Milan, Italy, that we're doing in April, and we have a show in we're doing Rocklahoma in May. So we're going to fulfill those commitments, and we're going to be getting together on Tuesday, and we're going to figure that all out. We're going to have some friends coming over, and we're going to do a little jamming, and we're going to see what happens, and it's up in the air, I guess. We would like to continue. I think I would like to continue. I think it's just a matter of it, being the right time. We had a tour booked we should be out this whole month of March, and we canceled it because it was just too soon, after Jimmy's passing, and it's got to be the right guy coming in. It's got to be somebody who is great on a personal level and great on a playing level, and that's hard to find. It's hard to replace a brother. It's hard to bring somebody in to stand in for a brother. So the only logical choice would be have another brother in the mix. And somebody who's going to do it justice, and somebody who's going to be respectful, and there's going to be a good hang first and foremost. That's to me the most important part is just having somebody who's everybody's comfortable with,
right,
and is kind of in the family already. I mean, everybody's been spouting off different names on social media about, you should get this guy, you should get that guy, and that's all well and good. And I know that the fans want to have, get a warm and fuzzy feeling from who's here, and it makes sense to them, but it might not make sense to them. But if it makes sense to us, it's going to be a good process. So it'll be good for everybody. And it might be a guy who doesn't have a background, a pedigree, or it might be a guy who does, but I think first and foremost, it's got to be right, because if it's right to us, then it should be right to the fans, because the pedigree is the legacy of the span and where the span from is.
Exactly, yeah. Everyone figures it's just a matter of finding the right person to plug into the plug, but everyone forgets that there's way more to it than just getting a new member. So I look forward to whatever the future holds for Last in Line, and urge everyone to go out and get the album Heavy Crown. Andrew, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me here inside the Asylum. And I've got the album in front of me. What track would you like for everyone to hear tonight inside the Asylum?
I think I'm going to go with the longest one that we have. can we get as much out of your show, as much time on your show as possible, Turbo. I think we got to do Blame It On Me. That's my favorite one on the album, because I think that one is going to appeal to everybody. It's going to appeal to newer rock fans. It appeals to classic rock fans. It's got the vibe of all things rock, all things rock and metal. So let's do that one. That's my favorite one. So.
Awesome, man. Love that one. Great track, and I credit you guys for actually doing songs that were longer than 3 minutes in length. A dying art nowadays.
Yeah, we really just don't give a shit anymore. So.
Hey, that's how it should be, man. The best music I've ever heard written. Everyone usually says, "Dude, we just went in and recorded it and had fun." And there you go.
Exactly. I mean, that was one that just was something it always happens like this. You go when you need to record, 2 songs quickly because we didn't have enough songs to fulfill the contract for the label. So we went in and wrote, that one and Curse the Day, and they're like 2 of the most epic songs on the album. That almost didn't happen because we thought we were done. So you never know. So a good 7-minute, nice 70s 7-minute song is never bad. Never a bad thing.
Not at all. Andrew Freeman, thank you for joining me here inside the Asylum. Everyone, Heavy Crown in stores now. Go buy the bonus disc version. You'll appreciate me telling you that. Right now, Blame It On Me from Last in Line here inside the Asylum. Don't go anywhere. More still to come.